What's good? What's good? What's the deal? How we doing? How Billy sees it. Outside, we're back. And we got back from Quebec last night, and just a beautiful day, beautiful Monday. And I really wanted to tell a story, so I wanted to get on. I was trying to do every single day, and I think we missed yesterday, but that's okay. We're back today, and we're back in Baltimore too. So we are on. What a great time! What an amazing time! What an amazing time! Had a great time every time I go to visit Jesse, and so this was no different. In fact, this was special. This was his wedding. This was him getting married to his lovely wife Jocelyn. So I got to meet a ton of new people, and some new experiences, and some time even with Sheba, which was away, which was fantastic. It really solidified that, we want to do some more traveling. That was fun. It was more than fun. It was like magical, It was really magical. It was really great to see Jesse so excited, and to see Jocelyn and to meet the family and all that stuff. And I was excited to tell this story and talk about it a little bit, man. I wanted to tell it, and as I was thinking about how to tell this story, I was thinking about how the motives of the storyteller can affect the story so much. You know what I'm saying? What's the energy? What's the goal? What's the value in this moment? I can tell the story about the weekend in Montreal. I could tell it. I probably will tell it dozens more times. That day when I saw Jesse get married, the day Jesse and Jocelyn got married, and you know what I'm saying, we tell stories all the time, and they can always be, they subtly have these little goals and intentions. And so there's a way of telling that story that is an entire, that includes and might lean into a challenge, right? A challenge with the airport, a challenge, something happened with the taxi or the hotel, and we can lean into these stories, or something crazy, something wild, and we're looking for these, and we can lean into a particular thing for a goal. Or you can just tell a fully beautiful story without any of the crunchy parts, without any difficulty. I can tell because I want to tell a story about how, it's entirely something we could call perfect, you know what I'm saying? And so I said, you know what? I want to tell the story with the goal of what I learned about myself in it. What I learned about myself in the story. So let's get into it, man. We got in on Friday. We got in the afternoon and grab an Uber, and we get a cool driver, this guy who grew up, grew up in Quebec and had this whole story with his family, and he's doing Uber for the loot, and he loves it, the freedom that he has, and he gets to work from 7 to 7, and it's a great thing for him. And then we started to get into politics, and we realized that he had this thing. He was saying he agrees with Trump, and that Trump should take over Canada. I was like, what the heck? What the frick? But beyond that, he was a really interesting working class dude trying to figure it out. He had some issues with his mother-in-law. We got into that a little bit, Eventually we get to the cabin. We get to this hotel. They call it the Hotel Spa. Out in Montreal is the city, and so it's out in a bit further out in the country on this beautiful river. There's a river, and there's a sand on the river, so it's kind of a beach thing. And there's some boats out there, and we get our tickets and meet the people in the place. They're all very kind. The assumption is French, by the way. Everyone speaks French over there for the most part. You start with that, and then then they move to English once they realize it. And everyone was so kind. And we just decided to drop our stuff and then to walk out and try to find some food. And so we do that. We got some food. And we found a restaurant. It was called Restaurant Normal. Normal restaurant. It's interesting marketing. But, definitely, it was a chill restaurant. And the food we got was great. We got some drinks. Walked around and just got a lay of the land, you know what I'm saying? They got different, like stuff we call CVS, they've got a different name for it, but it's basically CVS. And there's a lot of barbers. Oh, I needed a cut, so we went and got, went to the barber. Looked for a barber, but we couldn't find one, or with the timing, and yeah, we couldn't get one, so we decided to get one in the morning. But just an interesting, beautiful place, trees everywhere, mountainous and all that stuff. We actually had a J that Sheba put in my pocket, that she didn't tell me that was in my pocket, or I thought she had it on her person. And then on the way back, we were like, all right, we can spark it up. And somehow I dropped it because it was in my pocket. I'm like, okay. We lost an entire J. Okay. We just kept rolling. It was interesting to watch, like, even Sheba looked really disappointed for a second, you know what I'm saying? She does the rolling. She's the queen of that domain, and she was just like disappointed. And I'm reading her face, and I realized that it's so like dissipated. It was a second where I thought it was like an issue, and then she was like so chill about it, She's like, oh well, I guess the universe didn't want us to have that, I'm like, yeah, that's right. It kept rolling. It was really chill evening too. Then we get back home, and we decide to go because they had a jacuzzi and they had some pools. The place was really interesting. In fact, the bed on the side of the bed, there's this massive remote control, and the words are in French, so we're not even sure. Like, I can read some of the words, but I couldn't. There was one word on there I didn't understand, and we didn't even Google it. But anyway, we pressed the button, and this guy starts speaking in beautiful French language, beautiful, like, hushed tones. And he's like, bonsoir. Il faut rester vos cheveux, and he's talking about, like, being restful. And then they start playing this music, this kind of, like, jazzy, chill jazz music. And the bed vibrates with the music. It's like vibrating at different points and getting your back and getting your going up and down. It was ridiculous. Like, wait, this is a nice place, actually. It was legit, actually. I'm actually downplaying it. It's like, this is actually cool. We got to figure out, who does this technology and get into it, because it was good. What else happened? Yeah, we went to the jacuzzi. We chilled. Had some drinks. I did. As you know, Sheba quit drinking like 2.5 years ago, just cold turkey, yo. When I first met Sheba, she was kind of, I don't know, drunkard? Is that what I want to call it? No, not a drunkard, but definitely she drank more than I did, I thought. It felt like, you know what I'm saying? And then she was like, you know what? I don't want to drink anymore. So she doesn't drink. So she had some juice, and I had some drinks, and we chilled. We watched a movie and had a good time. And then the next day, that was the day that I did my last episode, actually. That night I went out. She did her show. I did mine in the hallway, very brief, for like 5 minutes or whatever. The next day, the day of the wedding. Amazing, beautiful day. Sheba can tell you more. Even see, like, this is the intimacy of the stories. Like, Sheba there's something with astrologically, there was something about, I think it was a full moon that night, and the hotel itself had a big, massive statue kind of thing that looked like a rock. It looked like a circular rock in the front, but then at night it glowed, and it was like the moon. It looked like the moon. It had all the little craters and whatnot. Greetings from Turkey. What up, bro? What's good? How's it going, everybody? What's the deal? Yeah. Greetings from Turkey. Yeah, I'm in Baltimore, and just came back from Quebec, Canada. It was awesome. For a wedding. So on the second day, we go to the wedding. So Jesse's just. I'll tell you more about Jesse for those who don't know Jesse. But Jesse's a good friend. I've known him for 20 plus years, or 18 years, around 20 years. And he just got married to the person for him, and it's perfect. So we go to a camp. The thing is happening on a camp, like a kid's campground, and everyone has different bunks. So for the second night, we intend to stay at the camp. And we pick our bunk, and we meet a couple of people, and it's all set up real nice and sensible. It was legit. We go to our bunk and meet some of the bunkmates we had and other guests. And we got there with just 2 hours of time for the ceremony. I think the ceremony started at 4 p.m. So we got there around 2 p.m. and the ceremony starts at 4. And so we sit down, we get to the chapel. The chapel is really just like an auditorium that they had on the camp. And we sit down and just look around, and everybody's so cool. I start to see some people, and people I remember, Mauricio and Marcela and Leah, and then new people, people I hadn't seen in a while, you know what I mean? Since the last time I visited, at the very least. Some people from DC and stuff that had traveled back to Canada with Jesse. It was really cool. Got to see Jocelyn's family. It just felt good, and then so I leave for a sec to go find the restroom, and when I come back from the restroom, I see Jesse coming down with a blowhorn. He's got this like North Carolina blue suit on, you know what I'm saying, and some sneakers, and he's just chilling, and he's like, he's directing people, and he's like, Billy fucking Button, and he gives me a dap, and I can just see, he's bouncing, you know what I mean? He's floating, man. This is his day. He's in his element. He's around all the people that love him. It was fantastic. I was really happy to be there. So then, as we're talking, somebody asked him a question, and you could see that he actually is still also involved in organizing this incredible event, which I would learn at the end of the day had something close to 300 people, if not more. So many great people came out. So he's directing people, and I'm like, yo, Jesse, I'll let you go, man. I'll see you later. So yeah, he's like, so he goes, and I go back to my seat. I sit with Shiva, and that's when we see Leah and all that. So then you sit down, and only within like 5 minutes, Jesse comes out on this little thing on the stage. This thing has a balcony, and he comes out with 2 kids and his mom. I could tell it's his mom. I never met his mom before, but he talks about his mom. He talks about his mom all the time, and it was great to see her up there. And then they do a ceremony, Jocelyn comes out through the back. The friend that had introduced them was the one kind of officiating the ceremony. And they tell the story of how they met. Like the friend hooked it up, like real sinister type, like real. She had a different story for both of them and sabotaged Jesse's plans and like set it up where Jesse had one way to go home, and that it would be Jocelyn driving on a U-Haul, and so it just worked out. And great story, great origin story, by the way. And they tell the story, and then Jocelyn takes the mic and gives her vows. And immediately, I'm like, it's too much. I'm crying, bro. Jocelyn is lovely, and she's very charismatic and funny, just like her husband. And so right off the bat, what I'm saying, emotion tugging, like stories about love and how she, never met anyone like Jesse, and how wonderful things are. And I'm looking at Jesse the whole time. Jesse's looking at her, biting his lip, and also being a showman, which I love. Jesse's a fantastic, showman, So then he takes the mic again. You know what I mean? He's like, this isn't a competition, but then he rattles off this brilliant story, weaving in history and experience, and you know what I mean? And they hold each other's hands, and then they kiss, and it's like awesome. And then they address the crowd, and they say that the real goal was to be outside, but because of weather we were inside, so let's go outside. So we go out to the river, to this embankment and this kind of pier, some wooden deal, and they take a picture. I got a drone that comes down and it's really legit. I'm sure it's gonna look crazy. The drone looked nuts. So that was great. So then we had hors d'oeuvres. Everyone could go around the back and get some hors d'oeuvres and just kind of sip on some drinks, and they had a whole spread. And so we started to mingle and started to meet people. It was such a cool, eclectic crowd. Cool, eclectic ass crowd. Yeah, so many. It's hard to even categorize people, but I know Jesse's family is just kind of I hope I'm getting this right, white Canadian. I hope that's an accurate way to Jesse's background, and then Jocelyn's background is Filipino and I believe there's a mix there, but it's some more Asian diaspora, and everybody's just chilling and talking. And of course, there's more than that, right? It's a boundless sort of spring of love. Both of these people, certainly Jesse, man. Jesse's background is all over the place. So there's black people and Latin people and white people and people whom all of these words are an understatement and a reduction and we fail to grasp. But if I want to tell a story, I can tell a story this way. So, but it was dope. It was beautiful, and starting to just hear from people's backgrounds and people working in different places in different parts of the world, and from Algeria and from Quebec and from Toronto, and they met Jesse in this place and they worked on this program that Jesse had done, with the media, or they played sports with them at one point or another, and it was okay, yeah, that's my experience. Yeah, that's the Jesse I know. I kept kind of having this affirming experience about why we're all here, and how dope Jesse is and how dope Jocelyn is. You know what I mean? And it was beautiful. And so then time was flying. I mean, this is what it means, right? Time starts. We're just engaging with each other, and so boom, it's time for dinner. And they had the dinner, so we go to this it's a camp, so it's like a camp mess hall, or the food hall place, but they had it wonderfully adorned. They had a freaking disco ball coming from the ceiling and rafters and all this stuff. Oh, by the way, the whole thing is a camp, so all over the walls are just all these writings and engravings and writing somebody from 97 and all these names of people who had some experience with that camp at some point. And it was really, for me, reminiscent of college football. My only experience, not college football, high school football. College football was camp, but we had camp on campus. My experience, it brought me back to high school football, where we at Brooklyn Tech, we would go to camp right before the season in the mountains in Pennsylvania, I believe that's right. And it was just like that, man. It was just all these different things that we always wrote our name down and the year and tried to rep, and we did our thing. It was beautiful. So anyway, we're in this mess hall, we're in this dining hall, and it's got writings all over the walls, and it's got jerseys and things from other parts of representative of Canada and representative of Quebec. It was dope, man. I just really, the dwelling itself was dope, and then the people was dope. And Jesse had they created a thing where all the tables had the name of a different tree, and so elk and willow and all the deal. We had a tree that I don't even remember. This was a unique ass tree. This was a tree name that I had never seen before. It was 3 syllables. It was 2 words, and I don't remember it right now. I'm gonna let this joint pass. And so yeah, we come to our table, come to our table and we sit and we see, you know what I'm saying, like who we're going to be having dinner with. It's a bunch of cool people that we're sitting and saying hi to everybody and just kind of, you know what I'm saying, everybody's got a cool energy. And we met Shantini, we met Shantini, who is going to be our host for the reception part. So we met her earlier, and I feel like I had met her previously, but we met her there and like earlier at the ceremony part, and she told us that she was going to be doing the hosting for the reception part. So boom, we're at the reception, and everybody's sitting down, and she takes the mic, and she is fantastic. She introduces herself. She's roasting Jesse a little bit. Jesse's her how she knows the couple, and Jesse was the person who introduced her to her love, and her love is improv comedy, you know. So that's so funny. So obviously, you know, it made me think immediately. I introduced my little brother to improv comedy, you know what I'm saying, so many years ago, and he's taken to that, and he's done so much with, you know what I'm saying, UCB and other troops. And there's something about improv comedy, by the way. I think there's something there that like really it's just the moment. It keeps you in the moment, you know what I'm saying? It's off a script, you know what I mean? Like, and there's something about it, you know what I mean? The people who can engage in that well. And then most of us, we kind of go, oh, I could never do that. I could never. It's like, you can. It's just, what it is that we're attached to, like, we're playing some kind of script that we don't fully take advantage of in terms of understanding. So we're attached to that script, though. And then when you're saying that there's a moment that you're allowing that freedom from the script in improv, you know what I mean? And I actually think it's a muscle to work, you know? So, like even now, I was like, oh, should I write something about this? And I was like, you know what? Because there were some points I want to really hit on this as I tell this story, but I decided today to not do that and to rock without that. So that's where you are. That's what you're seeing right now, guys. This is improv right now, people. All right? But it's improv realty shit. You know what I'm saying? Improv realty. That's another one. Should we start that? Is that a thing? I'm going to Google that. Let's figure that out. Hopefully this is a little funny. Anyway, look. They're crushing it. She's on stage, you know, opened the whole thing up with great energy, had people laughing, and then she tells us that she's going to play a game with us, and food is the contingent on winning this game. You got to win this game to eat. Like, your table will not eat. Not just you, but your table. Your whole table is dependent on, and she called it the Hunger Games, and you know, it was a funny approach. You know what I'm saying? So now everybody's looking at each other, and like, come on now, whoever they pick now, and we don't get to choose our person, but they choose it, and then that person has to represent you, and until you get it right, you're not gonna eat. Oh, and so she's asking questions. She'll ask a question. Okay, she's gonna ask 2 tables to get up. And we get up. And she had some spoons on the table, and 1 spoon represented Jesse, 1 spoon represented Jocelyn, and 1 was both. And she would ask a question, and like, you know, whoever picked the right spoon for the question was the winner. Okay, and then your table could go eat. So it was going, and people, you know, were rocking, and then she goes, and they pick for my table came. So several tables went up. I think like 3 or 4 tables had gone up. And winners, losers, you know, interesting questions like about Jesse, like weird moments that they had, you know, questions that you kind of had to know either of them to know some of this. Sorta. They were good questions, is the point. That's what I'm trying to say. And it was fun. It was a really fun thing. So then, okay, so I go up. So I'm like, all right, here we go. And the question was, I don't even remember the question, but it starts with something that happened with Jesse. No, she goes, who had a conversation with Sam? It's like the former prime minister of Canada or something. It was something I immediately recognized as like political, and I knew this story, and so I grabbed the spoon, you know. And so I grabbed. Oh, by the way, my person on the other side of the table is Sarah, I don't even know how old Sarah is, but it's Jesse's niece, okay? Awesome young girl. So fun and kind and smart and cute and interesting, and you could tell like really has like so much love for Jesse and what Jesse's meant to her in her life. And she came over. We met her at the like reception part, the hors d'oeuvres part, and she was just like laughing. We were talking about how we know each other, and I think she might. I don't know how old she is. She's young, okay, a little cute younger girl. And I pull my spoon, and she pulls the spoon out of my hand. She pulls it, so it was the right answer, okay? But she pulls it out of my hand, okay? And she wins off that. She wins. The host says that she was hungrier. She was hungry. She clearly wanted it more, and she gives her the win. Okay, all right. So I'm like, wow. So it was a really fun moment. It was a fun moment. You know, it was really kind of hilarious, and we got a laugh, and then I got to go a second time, and somehow I lost that also, okay? And then I got the third time, and finally we got to win. In fact, I think the rules had to change because I was, partly it was me. I grabbed the thing before the question was finished. If I'm honest, okay? Can I be honest? I grabbed the spoon before the question was finished, and that kind of created an issue. And then I think it set a bad example. After that, we had a couple of these issues, and then the rule had to be changed. And then I won, and then my table got to eat. So we had a whole big thing, and I was excited, and I'm like, yeah! And the whole time I was playing with that energy, you know what I'm saying? Like some old medieval times energy. I felt like one of the knights, you know what I mean? That's how I felt it, I had to rep. Or from the Hunger Games, yeah. I had to rep my division, But we got it. 3 tries, 2 tries really, and then on the third try we got in. That's how I like to describe it. 2 tries, third time, we get in. We get the food. Food was fantastic. It was catered. It was some really dope tacos, and had rice and had salads and the whole deal, and I just felt really good, and people were coming over and introducing themselves, and I was meeting other people. It just felt dope, So then they do a thing where it's, people get to speak. Anybody gets to speak. Not anybody, actually, but they said there was, they said there was going to be like 6 speakers. In fact, they didn't tell us they were 6 at the beginning, but at some point they started to tell us. They were like, there's 3 more, But this thing opened up, bro. I told you earlier when Jocelyn went on, I was emotional. Fucking Jesse goes up. That was earlier. That was in the actual ceremony. This is so then. Oh no, wait! There was a dude that did this poem. It was a brilliant poem that was a poem about the complexities of life and love and the preciousness of this moment and time as a construct and what it really means. I can't get into it in depth, but it was dope. It was fantastic. Okay. Then we get into the first speech, and it was Jesse's mom, Kim. Oh my gosh. Kim gets into a thing about Jesse being this rambunctious kid who can't stop thinking and can't stop asking her questions and all this and all that, how he cared so much about her, the little ways that he would show it, because he would ask these interesting questions, like he would mistake her breathing with her heart space and just like playing sports and who Jesse was and the man he is and how he met the love of his life and what it meant and how it changed things and how happy she is to be a part of the family and how you're my daughter and I was like, oh man, I'm looking around the room, there's not a dry eye, Fantastic opening. That was followed up by Jocelyn's family, and the charisma. They're like, look, man, tough act to follow, but let me tell you, and they have a whole thing, and both, mom and dad had a story, and were telling them about how proud they are and happy to meet Jesse, and how safe they feel knowing, who the man that Jesse is, and all that. It was fantastic, bro. And they kept going and all this stuff. And at some point, it hit me. At some point, I think we're on the 3rd or 4th person. I started to really enjoy what was going on, I was such in a moment, man. And I just felt so. I felt like this was a magical moment. I just, felt so much good energy in the room, and not only was it tear jerking stuff, it was happy stuff. It was playful, fun stuff. There was roasting, kind of, and beyond roasting, it was like happy, like it was hilarious. Okay, it was hilarious, and I looked at Sheba and I was like, yo, I think Jesse might have asked me to do this. I think I might be next or something. And she was like, are you sure? Did Jesse ask you? Did Jesse tell you you'd be next or coming up or that you would do this? I was like, I think he did. I'm not sure, And but I think so, And I was like, but I didn't prepare anything. And so now I start to have a little bit of anxiety around that. And then I noticed that I started to just focus on, then I became pretty sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure he did. So I go, okay, I'm going to just come up with a set, a kind of a thing, a quick, a couple of things, It's going to be about Jesse and, how we met, We met on the night Barack Obama was elected. I met Jesse Freeston on the Real News when he was working at the Real News, and I somehow ended up on the panel to discuss the implications of the new first Black American president. And I get on this panel, and Ralph Nader was there, and a few other people, and the set was dope, and I just felt I got all weird and froze up. That's the night I met Jesse. I was like, okay, so let me tell something about that. And and we talk about how we play ball, and came up with this thing, and then I had to go, you know what? Relax. And when I had this kind of thing, it hit me and I didn't do the wah in the real thing. I didn't do that, okay? It just kind of was an internal thing, all right? If you're wondering, just for a detail there, it was kind of but anyway, everything was fine. It struck me that, you know what? It's gonna be dope. I'm gonna go up there and whatever I say is gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be funny. I'm gonna have some memories to bring up. I'm gonna talk about the things, and we're gonna be fine. And so then we went through a couple of other people. All of them did great. All of them had very funny and interesting things to do and takes. Some of the, Jocelyn's friends, was 3 friends, and they kind of took turns. It was very interesting, and very funny and very dope. And so then it was over, and I look at, and it was over, and we're clapping, and all the, there's no more people. They said, there's no more people. We're not doing anymore. And they went on to, we're going to do some dancing. And I look, and it made me look at my phone. I look at my phone, and I check, and I go through our the WhatsApps with Jesse, and it was a couple of weeks ago or months ago, probably 6 weeks ago, Jesse asked me, he said, hey, I'm thinking of doing a different thing. I'm trying to have maybe multiple hosts or people tell stories about stuff. Would you be interested in doing that? And I remember this at the time. As I'm reading this, I remember it, and I go, I remember Jesse asking me this, and I remember my reply, right? I remember my feeling. I remember going, hell yes, definitely, I'm interested. Tell me more. What would I do? Hosting multiple hosts? What does that mean exactly? I had questions, but I don't remember what was happening at the time. But I typed back, I'm interested, period. No exclamation point, just I'm interested. And I'm and then some time passed, and it was Jesse responding and reminding me about some of the wedding stuff and his ankle injury. He had an ankle injury that happened right before the wedding. And so then I realized I realized that I felt like this is the point that this is really why I felt that I had done something wrong. I immediately got into this weird story in my head that I messed up. I could have been one of the people telling this story. I could have been something like a co-host or something. I could have, you know what I'm saying? This whole thing has been superbly recorded. And Jesse asked me, and I didn't take seriously the question. You know, even looking at the reply, I didn't like it. It didn't meet to my standard. I didn't demonstrate to him the excitement that I knew that I actually had, that I wanted to, you know what I'm saying, do it, you know what I'm saying? So then I'm like, literally, bro, it went from this crazy moment of just like, wow, man, and like laughing and so excited to see all these people, to like everything slowed down, and it was like in a movie, and the background turned into like, and I was like, I started feeling this crazy guilt. I felt this crazy guilt, you know. Man, I let them down. I let Jesse down. There were 6 people that spoke. Man, he wanted 7. He wanted Billy to speak. He asked me, and my reply was milquetoast and like sort of flippant. I played that out of my mind. I saw a conversation that Jesse had with Jocelyn, where they were trying to figure out who to speak, and you know, Jesse has so many talented and interesting friends, you know what I'm saying? So everyone that got up, and a ton of people that were actually sitting down as well, and I got cut because they were like, yeah, everybody else was like, hell yeah, yo, what's up? Tell me what you, everybody called immediately, you know? So I was like, why did you call, Billy? Why did you call? I came up with this story about, I let Jesse down, I disappointed, I had missed an opportunity to be, you know what I'm saying, a part of the thing in a way that Jesse hoped, and to like bring what I would have brought, because I would have killed it. It would have been awesome. I'm playing all this in my head, bro. And everybody's just all around, is dancing. The music starts bumping. They got the music going. He had several DJs there, you know what I'm saying? And they had a system of like, you know, they would play songs that had been, people had submit, you know, what their songs were, the 3 songs that every wedding should have, you know. And so that was had like a playlist of like 50 plus, he said, and anyway, it was dope. It was going on, it was popping, and I'm like, oh man, damn, what did I do? You know, now I'm looking over at Jesse and Jocelyn, and they're having a good time, and I start to think that I have to go and apologize. I gotta go apologize to Jesse. I gotta like square this, yo. Here's what I did. I realized what I did, bro. And anyway, this is all what's going on in my mind, right? That happened literally, so that felt longer than you know, as I'm telling you, but that happened literally in the space of 30 seconds. All that processing. There's another version of me, a younger version of me, that would probably, you know, it'd be somewhere in there. Maybe I don't, you know, some of the crazier impulses of running over and apologizing, maybe I don't do it. Some other thing where but this version of me this weekend, yo, proudly, I felt capable in 30 seconds or less of going through this whole range of like panicky, self-sabotagey like storytelling, like old processing, old narratives, narratives of guilt, you know what I'm saying, that seem to be, you know, easy for me to access that, and typical for me to access that. I went through that, and I transmuted it, and in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I was able to go and laugh at myself and have fun and bring it down and enjoy the moment and come right back to the moment. You know what I mean? Part of why I wanted to talk about this is to tell a great story about the weekend. And there's a part about me, I want to share that thing right there, that what I just described there, that thing that I do that maybe other people do too, but that it's hard to describe, and that we don't talk about it, and we stigmatize it, and we don't open the space for discourse, and we don't even know how to begin the conversation. It's a thing of overthinking. It's a thing of being, you know what I'm saying, lacking presence, a thing of playing an old pattern. And I want to point to the room and the power we have to to like spin it around, you know what I mean? And to come back. So I came back and I'm like, wow. And we're having a great time. We went out and we had some smoke. We met some people, met some awesome, beautiful couples. We hung out and danced and we stayed up till 1:30 and we got tipsy and we laughed. And I held on to this thing and I said I wanted to speak to Sheba about it. How grateful was I that later on, or no, the next morning actually, you know, I was able to just kind of get rid of that process and know that everything was fine and know that Jesse was having fun and know that Jocelyn was having fun and they were not worried about that. And I actually noticed, in fact, that they were telling us about the time thing because they were worried that it was too many and that, you know, people wanted to do something else. They didn't want to hear these stories. I found the stories exhilarating. Every story to me gave me more color into Jesse and into Jocelyn, and I was really into it. But that, you know, what was really going on was entirely different from the one in my head. They were having fun and I was having fun and everyone was having fun and everyone was happy that I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we flew in out of the country and he's happy that I'm here and that's what he's happy about, you know? And he's not stewing about that or something that I did wrong, you know? That's me bringing that. That's a projection that I created and I don't have to do that, you know? And when I don't have to do that, man, it frees me up to actually have so much more, to actually have the moment. And the moment was so beautiful. How crazy would it have been, you know what I'm saying, to somehow mix or miss the moment. Or be preoccupied. Pull away. And depending on how nutty that preoccupation is, I might have, I'll go and pull Jesse in and he's having a good, hey Jesse, let me tell you, I'm sorry about the WhatsApp, and I'm sorry about I should have replied. And he's like, what are you talking about, man? What? Let me tell you, let me pull you away from the moment. You know, that's insane. So, that's something I learned about myself in that trip. I learned about sort of how my mind works, and I learned to let go even better than I could before because I observed myself, you know, and to do so like without judgment. You know, there's another version of me that could talk about this a little bit, but then would do so with judgment. Also be like, how stupid, oh my God. Yeah, you really think everybody's thinking about you? So now I observe it and I go, yeah, you really think that? And the judgment would stop the ability to look at it. You know, you cringe and you look away and you learn a weird lesson. You learn a weird, whatever lesson it could be myriad things that you might learn that isn't quite true, you know, because it's rooted in that other thing. So I came back to it and saw these two people getting married, and it was fantastic, yo. It was fantastic, okay? And I think the way I want to end this is to very quickly, I'm going to try to do the set that I thought that I came up with on the fly and said that I would do, okay? So I think, I'm going to do the set. Some of this requires some, like, context, so I got to, like, fill you in on that. But here's the set, for the most part, that I came up with on the fly when, for about 20 minutes, I wondered if I would have to speak, be called on to speak at Jesse's wedding. Okay, here we go. Billy, hey, Billy Button, hey, so call me up. Oh, and what I was gonna do is I'm gonna go to my crowd, my table, and go, because of the whole thing with the food thing. Yeah, that would make sense. So then everybody laugh, and I take the mic and be like, yes, you know, I need some stakes when I come up here. I need high stakes when I come up here. All right, man. Wow, what can I say? Wow, Jesse Freeston. I am so proud of Jesse Freeston, and he's really a one of a kind person. Everybody here can attest to that. He's a unique human. He's a one of one individual, and I'm so grateful to have met Jesse. I've known Jesse now for almost 20 years. We met on the evening that Barack Obama won in 2018. The election of Barack Obama. Jesse at the Real News. People would probably applaud. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what people would do there. And I'd be like, different. That means different things to different people. Maybe that day. But yeah, man, I got pulled on set. I was able to speak on set for an independent news project called The Real News, and so nervous that day, and said a few things on camera, but more importantly, you know, found what would become a lifelong friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't even know it at the time, but we connected, and I got to see Jesse then and get to see all these evolutions of Jesse. You know, later on I would work with him at The Real News. You know, sometimes we'd also work on independent projects. I got to do animation on his amazing film, La Resistencia. Got to see that process as he you know, developed the storyline after spending years in Honduras and then making this film. It was amazing. I love Jesse. Jesse is an amazing person. I'm so happy for him. Shout to Jocelyn, yo. Shout to Jocelyn, yo. And shout to, yo, am I the only one who, the minute they started talking at the earlier, am I the only one who was crying? Raise your hand if you weren't crying. No, everybody who's raising their hand, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you were crying. Yeah, okay. No penalties, no penalties. Okay? Imagine some of you weren't crying. Get the fuck out of here. You weren't crying? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Where am I? Okay. Look, I'm pausing in part because this is an amazing moment. I'm so grateful to be here, and I got to meet Jocelyn 2 years ago for the first time, visiting Jesse, and you could see it then. I mean, the minute I met her, Jocelyn's warm energy and her, you know what I'm saying? She's for Jesse. She's Jesse's person, and I knew it. And you see, Jesse had a bounce to him. He knew it was the one then, and I knew it. And so happy to be here. And Jesse's finally, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So, this moment is an amazing moment. We are all, like, here experiencing something that, like, escapes words. And I just think it's amazing that these two beautiful people would somehow engage with the divine and with each other in such a way that would draw us to this moment, to this place, you know, would draw us to this event. And the beauty and the love in this room is palpable, and the vibrations are beyond expression, beyond verbal, you know what I'm saying, but beyond articulation, you know what I'm saying? And cheers to you for being here. Cheers for that. Cheers to the families. Love, peace. And that would have been it. It was people would have been cheering. I promise you, people would have been cheering. It would have been a big whole thing. It would have been fantastic. Okay? But that's what the whole that was the experience. That was the experience, and that was the wedding. And then we, at the end, so we started dancing, and it was fantastic. We just dancing and going, and the night went into like 2 a.m, and went to sleep. We went to our bunk, It's a little bit freezing, a little bit chilly. Sheba brought this comforter that took up half the luggage, and when we put the luggage together at the time, I was like, Sheba, do we need this comforter? It's huge, you know, it's taking up half the luggage. She said, yeah, we're gonna need it. And she was right. We needed it. It was freezing. But we rocked out. Got the body heat that kept us going, kept us alive. It was beautiful. Woke up in the morning, had breakfast, had a few more conversations with people, did a walk around the river, got to see Jesse and Jocelyn again. It was nice. It was really nice. Got to see all these other people. Jocelyn's family. Briefly got to speak to her brother. Seemed like a cool dude. The nature was great too, you know, it just helps you pause, you know. Even as I'm telling this story, you know, and I feel less hurried now, but for some reason as I was telling that story, I felt very hurried. Partly because, I don't know. It's not normal for me to tell these kinds of personal stories or to tell it that way or to get into some of the crunchy stuff, particularly about how my mind is processing stuff. So, I don't know. I feel like I was like, I don't know, I'm just telling you how my mind works. but the you know, it was more beautiful even than that. And then we got up and we had breakfast and then we just chilled by the water. Got to meet a couple more people. Everybody's fantastic, yo. Got some contacts. It felt good. Yeah. And then we got on the, then we got to the cab and then flew back out from Montreal to DC to Baltimore. And that's it. It was great. It's so funny. I hope I told that story well. Pretty sure I did. Capture the whole deal. Till next time, Jesse and Jocelyn, see y'all soon. I'll be on tomorrow for I Believe Sees It. Till next time, y'all. Peace.